Hello and welcome to another edition of IIABCal Voices. I'm your host, James Lott Jr. And of course, I used to work in the insurance industry. I was there for nearly 10 years. I worked for the association when it was called IBA West. And then I also worked for the Insurance Skills Center portion of the company. And I loved my time there and I had a great time. So this is a full circle moment for the person I have on today with me, because he was my big boss back then. Yes, he was. And he's still there, and he is, for the last 16 years, I mean, time goes by fast, he has been the CEO of IIABCal. Hello, folks. Yes, he's doing that. And he's also the president of the Independent Insurance Producers Service Corps, which is the for-profit division of IIABCal. He's also a charter recipient of the Accredited Advisor in Insurance and the Associate in Management. And he's also a recognized graduate of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Institute for Organizational Management. So he's smart, too. We like that. And I mean, we like to think that, right? And I'm just so glad, because I am actually here doing this collaboration with him because of him, Mr. Clark Payan. Hi, Clark.
Well, thanks, James. It's been great to hear. Great to see you again. Great to be here.
Yes. Okay. So I left 11 years ago, and I want to tell you that I don't get to do this very often. So I get to actually do this on camera. I love this kind of stuff. And for you folks out there like, James, you worked in insurance at one time, I guess had a whole other life before media and, celebrities, all that stuff. I want to say thank you, because you were always kind to me the time I was there, which that's means strong leadership, it's good leadership. Whenever I had an issue, I could talk to you, and I didn't have many issues. I didn't have many issues, but when I did, and then when I announced I was leaving, you were very kind to me then also. So I just want to say thank you. You said, if you ever need anything, James, let me know. And 11 years later, here we are. So I can just say thank you.
Thanks. No, I think you were great to work with and brought a really nice angle and really nice personality to everything that ISC was doing and what we were doing when we brought those, everybody together to do things like that. So it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, and I met you actually at an agribusiness conference before I even began working there.
Right.
I came to help out, and we met.
Remember that? Yeah. Yes. Sacramento, one of those years.
Yes, yes, it was. Yeah. Early in the conference. Early in the conference days, and I loved it there, and I came on. You had no hesitation to let me come on, and like I said, I was there for like nearly 10 years. So it's kind of time flies, Clark.
Well, that's one thing you learn pretty quick is how quickly time flies. This is my 41st year or something in insurance, so it's been a path, that's for sure.
Okay, so when you think about it, I was going to bring that up. So when let's go out the gate there. When you think about it, because you don't walk around thinking, I've been in business 41 years, and you're doing your job. You're not thinking about that. But when you stop to reflect on that, what does that mean to you, Clark?
Well, I think it's kind of a constant learning process. And I think, as you talk to different people about whether they plan to be in the insurance business or they didn't plan to be in the insurance business. I grew up in an independent insurance agency family. My dad basically ran his garage, his little business agency out of his garage. So we were at grade school. He was there working, as an insurance agent, but that gave him a lot of flexibility in the community where he got involved. And also with 4 boys in the family, he was coaching basketball or baseball at some point in time, and it gave him the flexibility to do all of that stuff. But I was around an entrepreneur and that type of thing, but I was an art major in college. So, and that was kind of a winding path too, but with a visual communications kind of background, but I had the sculpture and the print making and all that stuff. But point was, 2 weeks before graduation, it was like insurance agency in an office it wasn't in my cards, but I still remember my dad said, okay, $12,000 and a company car. And that was the best thing I was going to get. So off I went. But then since then,
we're young, Clark. You're like a car. Done.
That's right. But after a couple of years in the agency, I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted, and I kind of gravitated west and actually worked for an insurance company in Denver for a couple of years, big insurance company. And then Jerry O'Kane, my predecessor, and a great mentor for me over a lot of years, was looking for somebody with a little bit of an insurance background. And Jerry was a friend of the family. He knew my dad in the Chicago area insurance landscape. And so I came out to the association a couple of years in the late 80s, met my wife, who was a daughter of an independent insurance agent, and we moved back to Chicago to go back into the agency again. And then 11 years later, or how many years later, 88, 99, 11 years later, Jerry kept tugging, and I came back in 99, and here we've been since. So it's been good, but
So
it's been a path.
you can't, then you couldn't have escaped insurance. Like couldn't have escaped it. I mean, like every turn you went, somebody was from insurance.
Well, the great part about it in those days, my dad, I had three brothers. I have a twin brother too.
Yes, sir,
And
yes.
my dad didn't push us to say, hey, you need to be business majors with the idea that you're going to come to work in the agency and you're going to come to work here, et cetera. He was, really support us in whatever we wanted to do. I was art major. My twin brother was a human geography major. My middle brother was a construction major, and my younger brother was a sociology major. And we all ended up in the insurance business in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. But that's what's there. In those days, the idea was to get a college degree, and then that kind of proved to your future employer that you could get through the traps, academic-wise, socially-wise, et cetera.
True.
And then the whole game plan was then whatever company, it was a big corporation or whatever, then they trained you. And that's what happened when I went into the agency. My dad and his partner were busy. They were experienced, but they were busy doing what they needed to do. So I went to the Aetna Home Office Sales School right out of the box in Hartford, Connecticut. I was back there different times because I ultimately went to work for insurance company Aetna. But today there's so much different competition, and there's so much elevated, expertise that it isn't the same. Like companies are looking to hire people are looking for a little bit more than just somebody showing up and, okay, point me where you want me to do, today, kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fascinated by this whole art thing, because I'm like, did you carry any of that with you though through insurance? Any of the art stuff? I mean, you like art? I mean, is that something you like? I mean,
well, I think so. Except, David probably doesn't like it all the time because I come up with these ideas about marketing and how we should do this and logos and everything else. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd always had that kind of grown up, just kind of drawn, but I really didn't have it. High school, I was playing basketball and baseball and all that kind of stuff. And then even in college, I started out at Butler on a baseball scholarship. And at Butler, you didn't declare a major for the first 2 years.
Oh.
And then I transferred to Eastern Illinois after my first year, just a little more comfortable. My parents had graduated from Eastern, and my grandmother had actually graduated from Eastern way back. But when I had to declare a major, I declared history because I liked history. And there's quite a lot of reading around history. So,
yes, Clark, there is.
Yeah. But as just doing electives, doing selective work, I had a drawing class, and that kind of led to a sculpture class, and that led to this class and that class, and I ended up, then they had a visual community. They developed a visual communications kind of orientation to the BA in art that I have. So that was layout, some design, and some lettering, and just those kind of things. And I think that and I still use, today in terms of a business perspective and an eye.
Yeah.
So.
And shout out to Terry. I know your wife, so shout out to Terry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to say now, one of your sons is in the business, right?
Correct. I have two boys. Cole, the older one, went to Chico, graduated in the computer area, and is now working here at Workday, doing real well here in Pleasanton.
Oh, good.
And then, Jack is down in San Diego and is working with Zenith Insurance Company, and started in the claims area and is now over in the underwriting area and doing well and loves San Diego. So both of them kind of, I think, went to schools at the right place. Jack's graduated San Diego State University, and both worked out well for them, and I think career paths so far. But they're young still too, so who knows, where they.
I remember when they were kids. That's not even fair. They're grown-ups now, and they're like have jobs. I'm like, how that happened? I mean, they were kids. I mean, how that happened? But
Right.
I would ask you, as a parent though, because again, your father is in it, everybody's in it.
Right.
Were you hoping one of your sons would get into it, or did you?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I really, you just hope that your kids are happy and can find kind of a path, But he was a kinesiology major and an econ minor, and because kind of just looking, and he said other people that he knew were talking about workers' comp companies, and so I just introduced him to a couple people and had a couple conversations, and so that's how we got on that track. So I think, as a parent, you want them to kind of find their spot, right?
Find something, find something, please. I mean, and it's tough out there. I mean, not when we were coming up, it's a way different thing. I mean, it's a little tougher out there to get work sometimes, and to find.
Well, that's what I learned coming out to California 20 years ago from the Chicago area, which is a big metropolitan
Yeah,
area.
of
But
Chicago.
the business in California was entirely different. There's a whole different flavor to it. And I really realized it when the kids started getting college age, where we started looking at colleges and just the competition to get into schools.
Yes.
I mean, California schools are accepting 10%, 15% of their applications.
Mhm.
And then you realize, it's kind of struck me at that point that everything's competitive, whether you're a dry cleaner or whatever it is, whatever business, and even the large companies, if they can get 1 or 2% market share in California, that's a big deal, So you really feel it kind of through all the different levels and all the different stages.
It's happening here in media too. Like we're all just like our piece of the pie. It seems like at this point, like, you get your
Yeah,
piece in there. As long as you get a little hook in there, then you're good. Like now,
right,
there's so much choice, and that's
right,
everything, right? In insurance, there's so much choice, and there are a lot of things happening behind the scenes too, which happens in the insurance industry also,
right.
like mergers happening and things getting up and things going out and dropping, like it's all kinds of stuff that are happening.
Yeah.
You're right about that. But they were good. Your sons are doing well, so that's good. Um, so you've been part of this association for so long. Now you have hindsight and also you have future sight. Why should folks who are insurance agents and brokers independent join IIABCal, in your opinion? Because you've been here for a while now, you've seen all the changes. Why do you think it's still important to have this?
Well, I think the important part is frankly to be a part of the conversation. Be a part of your peers, and that's not just to get a newsletter and keep up to date with the news, but it's really to get a feel for kind of how things are moving and kind of where they're moving to. Our biggest emphasis as an association hasn't changed as long as I've been around and my predecessors, and that's the advocacy part, the legislative part. And advocacy and your legislation activity and kind of influence, you can't start that when a problem has occurred. You got to position yourself to be in those conversations over a long period of time. And so we've been able to do that with, of course, John Norwood, our partner, and his associates from a lobby standpoint. So we're fortunate to have worked to be in a place where any insurance issues that come up for discussion in the legislature are going to somehow come touch us, and we're going to have a part of that conversation. And there's just a lot of things going on legislative wise. So I would say, the advocacy part is the biggest part. And then, like I said, the community aspect of which we're really trying to work on quite a bit. And not only, our members are agencies, so it's a corporate membership, but there's people within those agencies. And so we're really trying to work at communicating and getting much better at understanding their needs, whether it be career stage wise or, new, middle, old, whatever that is, what they need, so that we can provide that in this community. So it's really, we think of ourselves as an influential community of knowledge and resource, so that there's something that people can come to when they need help or they need answers, or make relationships over time. And as you said, mergers and acquisitions, there's a lot of those that start from meetings somewhere in the marketplace, and a lot of that's happened within our association.
I emphasize this probably on every show I've done of this so far, but the community part really is important, I think, to me. And for folks who are watching this and maybe thinking about joining, I feel like, for me, I'm part of associations in my fields too, and organizing,
Sure.
coaching stuff. Because I feel like we're all entrepreneurs. So we're on our
Right.
little satellites, kind of just on our own, doing our own thing. We don't have that big corporate building. We're all in there together. It's like, this brings us together. This is a way of bringing us
Right.
together as a group.
Well, and it's unique too in the fact that we're all of our members are competitors.
Yes.
And so, but there's really been a sense over time of helping each other. And that was much easier when, before technology has changed the map, and an agency that was located in San Diego was writing business in San Diego. They weren't really writing it in
Yes.
Sacramento
Right.
or Georgia, Atlanta or
Right.
something. So,
Right.
So there's some of that dynamics changed a little bit, although that's one thing I hear, whether it's at the National Association that we're affiliated with, the big IIABA, and relationships that are built at that level or local level. We've still got several active local associations, which we encourage agents to be involved with their
Yes.
local association. And we do a lot of things as much as we can together to help support the local associations. You can build some really good relationship, friendship, and even on the company side, because we have a lot of associate members that participate in that, conversation, that community conversation.
Why not? One is one of the few associations I've been a part of that. Yes, it's competitive. You're competitors, but I feel like people still are there for each other. Like, there may be a track of something that you're not familiar with that someone else is. So I see them pass it on. I've seen it happen.
Right.
Let me call so and so over here, and they probably can
Yep.
help you better. And I don't see that in many associations. Everybody's so closed off. But in this one, I've seen it. I've actually seen it happen where it's like, oh well, I passed it on to this person, or we did this, and I like that. So it is a unique situation where it's like you are competitors,
Right.
yet you're a big group, like a big village. You're a big village
Right.
together.
Right. And that's why relationship building is a big part of what we feel like, again, a value proposition for us is that to build, and of course now that is a big challenge with the virtual aspect of things is how do you help people, not fall out of that, and how do you help build those relationships? And so it'll be a challenge going forward of how we can, mix and match some of that in person, because I see us going forward to continue that virtual. And in fact, we've had a virtual conference. I think this was the third year for our Lulu conference, Lead Up, Learn Up. And that was right out of the gate planned as a virtual conference. And then we've got a couple other conferences, our Blue Ribbon Conference in May, which is in person in Hawaii. And then InsurePath is coming up in November. And those are both in-person conferences. So I see going forward that we build on that virtual aspect of how we make that more valuable experience throughout the year for members.
Yeah, I was gonna say virtual is a big thing, of course, right now because of the pandemic and everything that's going on. So was there, because you're the CEO of this, so was there a big discussions where just always okay, we got to figure this out. Like there's things we got to figure out. Was it tough?
Well, I think it was our first challenge was the Blue Ribbon Conference this year.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be held the first week of May.
Ugh.
And so when this stuff came up in mid-March and then towards the end of March, we were really, because you can't just wait to the week before to say this or that, because especially in this kind of destination conference.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that was a really tough one to kind of get your arms around, because just the unknown was so hard. But we did cancel that because we didn't try to do a virtual format of that conference, because that conference is our, what I call mixing bowl. Our chore is to get our company members together with our agent broker members, and we bring them together and we kind of get out of the way. Whereas we decided for our InsurePath conference to change virtual pretty quick, because we wanted to do it right. We just didn't want to kind of put a few webinars together and call it a conference. So we got a committee that we're working on now, and it's got pretty much kind of the platform together, and we're going to start marketing that for it's the first week in November, the 4th through 6th. So it'll be over a few day period. And what we're doing with that one is we're building some paths, InsurePath, and it is going to have a sales path, a leadership path, and a service path. Targeted towards agency individuals that are in those areas, but we're going to build a path that goes throughout the year. So it starts with a touch point at InsurePath conference, but then those paths are going to include some white papers and some other touch points webinars throughout the year, and then we'll come back around to our November timeframe, bring everybody together again, and then go off on the path throughout the year. So instead of a one and dump kind of thing over a couple of days, we want to build this so there's a kind of a lasting value to it.
Very smart. I like that. I think that's a great idea. I want to go out there, folks. I used to run conferences for that I did every year. I want to tell you, it's tough. If you've never set up a conference, it's tough because you plan these things in advance. Sometimes a year in advance, 6 months in advance. So I know how tough it was for whoever plans your conference with Blue Ribbon to have to go through all of that, the contracts, all that stuff. It's a lot that goes into planning a conference. You can't just.
Right.
You gotta. I know how it is personally.
Yeah.
I know how it is personally, folks. I know how it is personally. So I mean, do you see yourself just doing this until? I mean, you've been doing it for 40. You've been in this business 41 years. I mean, is insurance an industry you can do for the rest of your life, basically, until you just can't do it anymore?
Well, I think there's all kinds of opportunities. What I think I've learned, one of the things I do to relax is jigsaw puzzles.
Me too. I'm doing one right now. I'm doing the Mandalorian.
Pardon?
I'm doing the Mandalorian. I'm doing the one with the child and Mandalorian. I'm doing that one right now.
Okay. I'm a Charles Wysocki guy, so I like those Americana kind of ones.
Yeah.
I always got one up. And I think from even association, leadership, planning, business, and agency, whatever else, I mean, I like the pieces. I like trying to work through the pieces. what pieces go together well, what don't go to well. So the strategy, we're in the midst of our strategy discussion for 2021 right now as we work through strategies and then build our budget that we present to the board in November. Because we always have a written down working plan in terms of what we're trying to do. As you know, we've got a small staff, nine people, and half of them were working remotely to begin with before March.
Right.
And but we've been using Microsoft Teams. We've had a weekly phone call to check in with everybody. And so when shelter in place came, even the four of us here in the office just grabbed our laptops and our monitors and went home, and it's worked very well. So, all of that, fitting those different pieces together and working, and we've got a plan. Everybody knows what the plan is. And so, it's not like, hey, what are you doing today? It's more at the end of the week, okay, where are you on this project? Or how far are we doing this? Or now this popped up. And I think that's what I like about it, and it's worked pretty well. I mean, we got a couple of people in San Francisco, one up in Sacramento, now down in San Diego. And so I think we, with a small staff, very nimble and very productive. So it's worked well.
It's quality over quantity. You guys are working it out. That's what it is.
Right.
It is.
As long as you don't work all the time. I mean, it's easy to work, when you're working at home, that all of a sudden it's, all hours and things like that. But that's not good for anybody. So, and some people work better at home and some people work better in an office. But right now, with kind of the whole situation, I don't see us mandating, hey, we got, the four of us got to come back to the office. It's going to be, and maybe it's a couple days or whatever, but we'll see how this thing plays out the rest of the year as we go into next year.
So I moved my office to the side in my room. I have a huge room, and it used to be in front. And I'd be like in my bed going, I could be doing work right now. I was like, that's not a good idea. So I would off to the side. Everything's off to the side. So when I leave my office, I don't look at it. I don't walk by it. I don't look at it. So I had to position things differently. I didn't do that. Clark, thanks for being on the show. And
thank you.
Thanks for everything. And I look forward to our continued partnership.
Well, that was quick. That went by real quick.
It is. I tell you, it's easy. It's easy. That was like 20, 25 minutes. So that's all I need you for. That's all I need you for.
That's right.
You'll come on again.
Well, James, no, I appreciate it. You make it easy, and we're great working with you again on this project. This is great.
Thank you. And so this is IIABCal. You can actually find them. I know that you guys are on. You guys are on Twitter and on Instagram. I found you there, and you're on Facebook too. So you can go ahead and follow them there for more information. And also, it's IIABCal.org.
Correct.
Yes, you go there also for more information. I remember that, more information. And this podcast is on all the streaming services. So whatever podcast you like to listen to, go to that streaming service like Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever, and go and find IIABCal Voices, and you'll find this interview and others there. Like, subscribe, and follow, and share with whoever you think needs to hear this. And then, of course, on YouTube, it's on my YouTube network, JLJ Media. Go ahead and find it there. And I have like 35 shows going on at the same time. Anything from Hallmark Channel stuff to the soap operas to Darth Vader. So go ahead and check them out. You may find something you like, including IIABCal Voices. I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow me at James Lott Jr. everywhere. And everyone, please stay safe and have compassion.